What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Somewhat Sports Podcast. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by only one titan of the industry this week. The other is, I still haven't gotten a clear reason as to why he's not here. I just said okay, but we got Jurg this week, the better member. Jurg, my brother, how are we?
I'm doing good, Chris. It's nice. We had a little bit of a time off, but we had a gargantuan episode last time out with our NFL mock draft. Which, if you want to see how we did as comparison to the actual round one, please still watch the video and listen to it because it's still highly entertaining. But yeah, just me this week. I mean, didn't Dame say he was taking some PTO after our mock draft episode, or is this not like have to do with that? Like I could have sworn he mentioned it.
Well, he's back from that PTO. I don't know. He has something. I know he had a game yesterday, but I don't know. Dame, he's a busy man. He's Mr. Worldwide. I don't know.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, I don't know. That kid, he's weird. But the show must go on. The continuity for this podcast is absolutely disgusting because it's always one person taking time off. The other person's Wi-Fi is awful. The other person's job is just beating them up the wazoo. But it does not matter. Sports does not wait for anyone. Yeah, we did do our mock draft last week. Completely off with the picks, by the way, but it was a very fun episode because we had 4 titans of the industry. I dropped, of course, because I don't want to get into that. But
you were so stunned by Dame's selection of Will Anderson to the Texans that your Wi-Fi couldn't handle it. Like
yeah. Even though I kind of understood why he did that pick, why he made that pick, but neither here nor there. We're going to talk about the draft this week. The rundown for this week. We're going to give our thoughts on the NBA playoffs so far. Very eventful NBA playoffs so far. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Aaron Rodgers trade, briefly talk about Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts re-signing to their respective teams. That's right, Lamar Jackson did re-sign with the Ravens. And then, of course, we're going to give our thoughts on night 1 of the NFL draft, which occurred last night. It is Friday, the day we're recording right now, which means night 2 will be tonight. So that's the rundown for this week. NBA playoffs, Hurts and Jackson, and Rodgers. Did I mention Aaron Rodgers? Oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Jets. We're going to talk about that as well. And then, of course, NFL draft. So that is a rundown this week. Jurg, are you ready?
Absolutely. We got a lot to cover, and we're going to go right away 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. This is probably going to go like an hour and a half. Doesn't matter. NBA playoffs. The semifinals matchups are almost all set. I believe there's only 2 matchups that have not concluded in the first round. 2 first-round matchups have not concluded, and it's the Lakers and the Grizzlies, in which the Lakers lead 3-2, and it is also the Kings and the Warriors, which the Warriors lead 3-2 as well.
Which both those Game 6 are tonight, by the way, as we're recording.
Yes, thank you for that. So, the other first-round matchups have now concluded. Let's go through the West. The Denver Nuggets defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1. The Phoenix Suns defeated the Los Angeles Clippers 4-1. And then, of course, the other series have not been concluded yet, so we'll be waiting for those results. The Denver Nuggets will be playing the Phoenix Suns in the semifinals. I don't know when Game 1 is, but I believe it's this weekend.
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it actually might be. And in the Eastern Conference, man, we have a lot to talk about. The Celtics... The Celtics just wrapped up their series last night as they defeated the Atlanta Hawks 4-2. The Sixers were actually the first team to advance. They ended that series quick. They beat the Nets 4-0, right? That was a sweep.
Yeah,
dude.
Unfortunately.
I mean, some people in this podcast had the Nets making it a series. I don't want to name names, but yeah. On the other side of the bracket, probably the most stunning side of the bracket, the Miami Heat defeat the Milwaukee Bucks 4-1. And the New York Knicks defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers 4-1.
The hell happened?
Which means the semifinal matchups include the New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat, which is going to be very eventful for this podcast.
Yep.
And we will have the Philadelphia Sixers versus the Boston Celtics. That was the matchup everyone predicted. And to be honest, Jurg, I'm very excited for both matchups in the East. I really am. And to be honest, if things play out the way I do think with the Lakers Grizzlies and the Warriors Kings, I think we're gonna have a fire semifinals matchups for each conference. We're set for like some bangers, man. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's start off with the West, or do you want to start off with the East?
West, just because we're still waiting on one more matchup there.
That is true. Well, two matchups.
Well, no. The winners of these last 2 series will face each other.
Yeah. Isn't that two matchups though that
Well,
need to
I'm
finish?
saying semifinals matchup. I'm
Oh
saying
yeah. Okay.
that's what I meant.
So Clippers won game one, in which I was just, oh man, me and a friend of ours, friend of the show, Manny, we were going off. And then of course the Suns won game two. It was close, and I thought the Clippers might have taken game two. We're gonna take game two, but it was 1-1, and then I think after that is when Kawhi Leonard was ruled out due to knee soreness. And then, of course, a few games later, he's still out, And then, of course, Kawhi Leonard is announced with torn meniscus. And the Suns just took over. And PG was already out for the series because he had a sprained knee. So, yeah, the Suns made quick work of the Clippers, 4-1. So, a couple things here. Russell Westbrook played a very Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook was very good this series. I will say he was very good this series, but he did have his Russell Westbrook moments. It's like you live by Westbrook, you die by Westbrook. However, based on how everyone was talking about Westbrook when he was the Lakers, you got to say, man, like he really stepped up for the Clippers against the Suns because both of their stars were out. He went out, did his thing. To be honest, the fact that he's still kind of performing at this level with his age now. And I always thought Westbrook's game would age poorly because a lot of it relies on athleticism heavily. I know he does Westbrook things and there's a lot of stupid shit and a lot of turnovers, but man, he turned back the clock for this series, bro. Like the mistakes I kind of forgive and forget because like it's who Westbrook is. But man, he showed up, bro. On the offensive side and defensively, especially in the first two games. Like he did really well defensively. I think after Kawhi got hurt, I didn't watch this series as much, but man, shout out to them. I mean, shout out to Russell Westbrook, man. No slander on him from my side at least. I know people are gonna slander him regardless because it's Russ and he did do Russ things, but yeah, man. Clippers, they made it a fun gentleman's sweep because I think all the games were kind of close. There were a lot of fake comebacks, by the way, but it was relatively close. But you just knew that like when the Clippers were up at halftime, we're just like, all right, third quarter kamikaze, Kevin Durant, Booker will go off. On the Suns, Jurg, I gotta say, was a little concerned
Yeah.
because a lot of minutes for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and a lot of times a lot of the times the ball was not in Kevin Durant's hands, and I'm just like, you know what, that could be a bad thing, but also it just shows the luxury of having Devin Booker on your team. Um, and man, Booker and Durant, what a match made in heaven. The Suns are who I thought they were. If Kawhi was playing, it's just Kawhi. Forget PG. If Kawhi was playing, I do think the Suns still might have won, but that could have gone seven.
Yeah.
If PG was playing and Kawhi, I think the Clippers would have taken this because Kawhi was straight up outplaying Kevin Durant in the first two games. But I will say the minutes distribution for the Suns because their bench is extremely thin concerns me going forward with the Nuggets series. But I will say Durant and Booker, man, that's it's gonna be tough. And yeah, like those two alone make them the favorites. But yeah, this was a weird series. It was a fun gentleman's sweep. I think it could have gone farther if Kawhi was healthy. If PG was playing, then the Clippers could have won. But Suns did their thing, man. They did their thing. What'd you make of this series?
No, I think you kind of gave a good summary of it. Is that once Kawhi went down, we knew what was going to happen for the rest of the series. Um, I think ultimately you talk about I think the big thing that you hit on there, Chris, is just the Suns. How fortunate they ended up becoming in part because, as you saw, defensively they're not an elite unit. I think we can all very much agree on that. Especially even after Kawhi went out, the Clippers still easily went over 100 in every single game to finish off the series. Like they're not an elite defensive unit and they're not supremely deep. But the thing about the Suns, what we did see is the overwhelming offense that this team possesses. I forget if it was game 3 or game 4 in particular that the Clippers roared back. I think they were like down 17, but they cut it and they cut it and they cut it and they were hitting shots. Russell Westbrook even hit like a 3 or 2. But the thing on the other side was Chris Paul, step back, jumper, good. Chris Paul, three-pointer, good. Kevin Durant, drive, good. Kevin Durant, turn around in the paint, good. Devin Booker, mid-range, good. Like, the Suns, at a moment's notice, can, yes, you might be able to score on them, but they can very much score back on you. It's like death by 1,000 knives when it comes to having to guard them defensively because it's Devin Booker who could go off for 3 straight possessions with his offense. It's Kevin Durant who still has such a complete all-around game and a seamless transition. So like you said, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant might be the most seamless of transitions between like just their skill levels in terms of who KD could have been dealt to. and I would argue is still even more seamless than Kyrie and KD because like those neither of them need the ball like definitively to still be effective. And I think that's a great benefit for Booker to have a guy in KD to where I think Booker this will be the best off ball play in his career because of the presence of Kevin Durant. But those two are just scoring. Chris Paul now gets to be the third or fourth option at times, and you saw it in DeAndre Ayton. He only needs one elite game. I mean, you would like more, but he only needs to have one really, really good game in a series for it to be like noticeable. Like DeAndre Ayton doesn't need to be the guy that he was in their run to the finals a couple years back. He just needs to support those two with his height, get rebounds, block a little bit, and if he does have a game where he gets plus 20, good. Like the Suns team, the offense is overwhelming, but like you said, it's the depth and defense that make me wonder. And it's going to set up for an interesting second round against the Denver Nuggets team that I think is, I forget what they were rated defensively in the regular season coming into this, but it's like, the Nuggets are, I think they're fine on defense, but they're not overwhelming defensively, but they're good offense. So I think this is just going to be a battle of two offenses going at it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a high scoring affair in that second round series.
Yeah, yeah. And let's talk about the Nuggets Wolves series. 4-1. Got a little interesting towards the end there. I believe the Nuggets went up 3-0, and it looked like it was about to be a sweep. And then, of course, the Wolves won game 4. By the way, I don't know if you saw the end of that game, but they were up like 12 with like 2 minutes left, the Wolves.
Yeah.
And then the Nuggets just took over, and it was about to be the craziest collapse I've ever seen. Because if Jokic made that free throw towards the end when he got fouled by Cat,
Yeah.
oh my God, that would have been it. Because I think they stripped Edwards at the end there, and they would have won by 1, but it went to overtime. Could not believe it. Game 5 was a little bit interesting, and then of course, the Nuggets just took over. Shout out to the Nuggets. They beat the first round allegations that everyone was kind of hoping for because everyone hates Jokic now. But yeah, that leads us. I mean, let's talk about the Wolves real quick before we get into the semifinals between the Nuggets and the Suns. I mean, that series went exactly how you would expect.
Yep.
Jokic went off. Murray went off. And Porter Jr. showed up. And so I think it's very important for those three to kind of get into the groove of things. I think it's really important for them to kind of establish the camaraderie, and it's good for them to kind of get the feel and get into the offensive groove, especially Murray. Some confidence going into the Phoenix Suns series because that's going to be a bloodbath. So shout out to them. And I do think Michael Porter Jr. would be the de facto, like he's the X factor here because I think you kind of know what you're going to get with Jokic. Murray, it's a good sign. It's always Porter Jr. as the one that's like, all right, let's see what he has. And then that'll kind of dictate how the series will go. All the other role players did their thing. The Wolves, man, look, I got to say, Edwards is him. This is his team.
Yeah.
He showed up in the playoffs last year, statistically. I think he was great scoring-wise last year against the Grizzlies. A series in which they should have and could have won. They didn't. And then this year he shows up. I don't, even if Jaden McDaniels was healthy, and I do think he's a very important piece to the Wolves, I don't think it would have mattered. Maybe they could have made it 6, or Naz Reid. I think this Wolves team, we've talked about the Gobert trade and how it's kind of stunted this team's growth. Dude, Cat was... it's hard to watch a little bit because
he's so terrible in the playoffs. He's never had a good playoff series.
He's so talented, but it's just I don't know if this man's ever going to see a second round, bro. And on a winning team, I mean, I was called crazy by one of my boys, but he's a third option on a winning team.
The problem is he's number 2 here.
Exactly. He plays he wants to play like he's a 1. He's a 2 here. And it's just him and Edwards don't fit. And my God, was Cat not good this series, bro. Oh my goodness, was he not good. I don't know, man. It's they're going to have to trade him, in my opinion. Just kind of go all in with Edwards, man. Get as much capital as you can to make up for the Gobert trade. But, man, they have a decision to make this summer, I believe. This summer. Come on, because, what are we going to do here, man? It's just, it's such a disappointing series, bro.
I'm with you.
Third playoffs, which he doesn't show up. What are we doing here? I don't know. Do you have any comments before we move on?
No, I'm honestly with you. I think Denver did their thing. They were flexible. It just goes to show how hard it is to get a sweep. I think we discount it sometimes. It's extremely difficult to get a sweep in playoffs as a whole. And like you said, Anthony Edwards is that guy. He's that dude. He's the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves going forward. He's the franchise face for that team. In regards to Cat, I've been saying this ever since the first playoff appearance, and then last season didn't change my mind. In the playoffs, he doesn't do the same. He is he's about 45% from the field in the playoffs. I would be criticizing a guard for that. I'd be criticizing a wing player for that. You're a big, bro. How are you not shooting over 50%? I don't care if he has the finesse. I don't care if he can shoot from outside. He is not, come the playoffs, he does not step up to the plate. And for anyone trying to point out his overall stats for the series in the Minnesota Timberwolves, go back in those game logs and go back in the tape. He would disappear for minutes, goddamn quarters at a time in that series last year. You talk about the Grizzlies-Timberwolves series, Chris. People forget there were 3 games in that series where the Timberwolves basically blew 15, 20-plus point leads. The Timberwolves could have upset the Grizzlies in round 1 last year, legitimately.
They had it.
They had it. They should have, but they didn't, because at the end of the day, the guy who's supposed to be the face of the franchise, he's supposed to be that this entire time. He was drafted first overall and all that stuff, is not that guy. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Karl Anthony Towns does not have a killer instinct when it comes to the NBA postseason.
None.
He doesn't have it. Like, he's a nice guy. It's actually, like, people were making fun of him for it. I think it's, like, kind of funny the way, like, the compilation video of, like, his voice changing in every single different interview.
Bro,
like,
that is kind of nuts, the voice change.
But, like, Cat is a good personality. Like, legitimately, he is a good personality. I think he's actually, like, likable compared to most other dudes. And obviously, like, what happened to him personally, I think COVID affected him more than, like, on a level compared to most of the professional athletes, at least the stories that we know. Like, he lost some important people. I understand that. And none of this has to do with on the court, because I feel like we have to say that every single time with Karl Anthony Towns, because
and it's annoying.
Some people just don't understand. We only talk about on court. At the end of the day, on the court, in the, I think it was a 6-game series last year, 5-game series this year. I think they got eliminated in 5 games in his first playoff appearance with the team when Jimmy was still there. So he's had 16 career playoff games. 16. And none of the series have actually been legitimately competitive, except for last year when, if he had been better, they choked. He averages sub 20 points per game in the playoffs. You're a multi-time All-Star. You've averaged 20 and 10 so many times in the regular season. How do you not crack 20 in your playoff career? Like, unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I'm with you. If I'm Minnesota, I don't think anyone will trade for Gobert. So I think you're stuck with him. You trade the piece that'll get you back the most value. You trade Karl Anthony Towns this offseason. And if you don't, this team is just going to disappoint it all over again next season, because I don't see how this roster will do anything next year, barring a drastic change.
Yeah, I hear you, Jurg. I'm with you. Man, it's going to be an eventful offseason for them. Wow. I mean, as if it wasn't last season when they made the Gobert trade, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I mean, let's just make our predictions. Well, I mean, we kind of made our predictions with the Warriors, Kings, and the Lakers, Grizzlies. But let's say this. Let's go Warriors, Kings first. Warriors lead 3-2.
Yep.
The next game will be at Chase Center, not Oracle.
Yep. God, I miss Oracle.
Yeah. Oh my God, bro! It is apples and bricks compared to like the Chase Center, dude. Oof. I will say, like I was talking about it with my boy, man. It was like, I think the Garden has like they have the best crowds, right?
Yeah.
But the Knicks were like, I mean, they've been abysmal for a while, but like that time frame of like the Warriors, kind of like their dynasty, the Steph Curry dynasty coming up, that was the best fan base.
They were unbeatable in Oracle. They were legitimately unbeatable. Like part of the intrigue and the fact that it was insane that the Cavs came back down 3-1 is that there were two of those last games were in Oracle. Like it should have been impossible. It should have literally been impossible back then. Like I'm saying this right now. If this game 6 was in Oracle, the Warriors finished the series off tonight. In Chase Center, I'm not as confident, because I don't think this Kings team is rattled. I know they lost both games 3 and 4. I don't think they're rattled by being in Golden State. I think you saw in game 4, they were a jump shot away from winning. And I made this joke a million times at work, and I'm going to make it on this podcast. I promise you, when De'Aaron Fox passed it to Harrison Barnes at the end of game 4, the Warriors were like, yes, we tied this series. Before Harrison Barnes even shot the ball, the Warriors knew the series was going back to Sacramento tied at 2 games apiece. There was no way. Like it's those little decisions that have made a difference in this series as to why the Warriors have taken the lead. That's more just about the arena thing, but like it's that kind of deal. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, Oracle was just different.
It was. But yeah, I mean, look, this series, this is the best first round series that we've had, and it has gone back and forth. I think all the games have been close. The Kings won the first 2 games, and I was actually stunned that they didn't get the split, that the Warriors didn't get the split. So they won the first 2 games, but it is the Kings, and I really like them a lot. And I remember before we said we wouldn't be surprised if the Kings stole this series. But of course, when they went up 2-0, I'm like, I could see the Warriors tying this up 2-2.
Yep.
And at that point, I was like, yo, I think it's just Game 7. I'm like, I think it's gonna go to Game 7, and I was like, whoever steals a road game first might win the series. But if it goes like if everyone just wins their home games and it goes to 7, I'm like, the Kings could steal this.
Yeah.
But of course, okay, the Warriors tie it at 2-2. It is announced that De'Aaron Fox has a fractured finger. I believe it was his shooting finger.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was his index finger. So we're just like, fuck. I felt so bad because I'm like, damn, the Kings, like, they're kind of in the driver's seat. Like, in my opinion, like, it was 2-2, but I'm like, they kind of own this series right now at the moment. And they're going to go back to Sacramento. You know that crowd's going to go crazy. I'm like, and De'Aaron Fox has been, like, unstoppable this series. A coming out party for him, man. He's been crazy good, and it's been so fun to watch. And, of course, it kind of showed the finger. Like, he still played great in Game 5. But, like, there was some limitations with the injured finger.
It was his worst shooting game of the series.
Yeah, and
from the field, like it definitely
no coincidence.
affected him.
Yeah, and the Warriors steal Game 5, and I think they close it out tonight. Unfortunately, it sucks. Because I would have loved to see Game 7 between these two, and everyone's like healthy. But yeah, De'Aaron Fox has been great. Malik Monk, I've always been kind of high on him. I know people are like kind of indifferent, but I think he is relished in this kind of 6-man role. I think it's an opportunity for him to kind of step up now. It's an opportunity for him to kind of step up with Fox being hurt a little bit. Sabonis, man, has been so neutralized in this series. Like, I've never been a big Sabonis fan. He's talented, but I've never been a huge fan. Man, Draymond Green and Kevon Looney have really made it tough on him. And I know there was that whole Draymond Green stomping on him thing. We haven't talked about that, but they have done so well on him, and it's been it's held the Kings back because of how much they've neutralized him a bit. So, like, it's Draymond Green will get in your head. I don't know, man. I feel like he really takes these international players matchups really seriously sometimes. But dude, I'll say this. So just to kind of like wrap up on the series. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly De'Aaron Fox keeping them in the game. Harrison Barnes, my God, bro, he is such a sorry player. I don't like Harrison Barnes at all. When he shot, he had a good look for that game winner, possible game winner in Game 4 or Game 4.
Four.
And he misses it, and I'm like, God damn it, bro! Like
I think Fox should have passed it to Malik Monk because I knew the second it got to Harrison Barnes, it was missing. I knew it.
Wide open though, bro. I'm like, damn it! But
no,
look,
I knew it.
This series has been so fun. It's been so back and forth, very close, very fast paced, exactly how we envisioned it would be. I just wish Fox was healthy, man. Like, it sucks that we're not going to get a true. I'm not going to put an asterisk because that's like, it's just sports, man. It happens. But like, I really would have loved to see how this game would have played out, how the series would have played out if Fox was healthy. Man, it's been so fun to watch. It's been so, like, exactly what the league needs. And to be honest, I thought the Kings had the Warriors number, and they could have won this series. But I think the Warriors wrap it up tonight. Steph Curry's been Steph Curry. Andrew Wiggins has done his thing. I think the first, like, it took him a little bit game by game to kind of get back to the groove of things. Yeah, I mean, championship pedigree for the Warriors, man. Like, they still closed it out the last game. They still did. And we'll see tonight. If the Kings win, very, very interesting, because then I think Game 7 is a toss-up. But very fun series so far. Yeah, what did you make of this series so far, Jurg?
I mean, I want to say I'm hopeful it goes to 7 because, I think that would be fun. And also, I think the NBA has like a streak of however many postseasons in a row where at least one series in the first round went to Game 7. So I'm hoping for that. But yeah, like you said, I think early on it was the Warriors getting a feel for things because remember, they were terrible on the road this season. Like, I think they're the worst of all the playoff teams in terms of road record during the regular season. And then coming into the playoffs, like you said, it still took a little bit of time for Andrew Wiggins to get into things. Like, Kevon Looney was doing his thing. Shout out to Kevon Looney, 2 20 rebound games in this series, which is utterly insane. But it really took a while for the Warriors to get their stride. They had moments in the first 2 games, but they never. The problem was that in the Warriors' peak years, whenever they would go on a game-ending run, like in terms of just scoring nonstop, you felt it was over because there was no team that could match them. The Sacramento Kings were the best offense statistically during the regular season. Like, this Kings team can keep up with them on offense, but it's the other side of the ball where shots start to go in, and can you weather a run of it's fine if we're missing shots, we know we'll come out of it. The Warriors have the experience of doing that, and that's the only experienced thing I think that the Warriors have over the Kings here, because I said in my prediction for the series, I felt the pedigree aspect of it was slightly overrated because I think this Kings team is one of those young teams that could have broken the mold, and I think relatively speaking, they did. They were hyper competitive in Game 4 away after losing a Game 3 where they just shot so poorly. They came back and did way better in Game 4. Just defensively, they didn't bring that same intensity level because they were fine in Game 2 defensively, but it hasn't been the same since. And then Game 5, I think that was the first game where you could actually say, okay, the championship experience shined through for the Warriors when it was needed the most. I think, like you said, Steph Curry's been doing this thing. He just continued to draw all the attention in the world. There were a couple plays, especially I think it was either third quarter or early fourth quarter, where like Steph had that play where he was just driving and he went and dribbled in circles and then finally got to the basket for an and one layup. Like that's a classic Steph thing. Klay Thompson with 25 points in that game, and now we're going to see if Game 6 Klay continues this thing even when the Warriors are up in the series. Like I said, Kevon Looney, 20 rebounds, Andrew Wiggins with his best game in the series. Jordan Poole still continues to shoot poorly in the series, and I think if Jordan Poole was playing better, like who knows if this series could have already been over with. And when he's not curb stomping dudes like Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, Draymond Green proves that he can be a decent player in this league every once in a while, and is still a key piece to them, especially on the leadership and defensive IQ side of things. Like the Warriors definitely have the experience factor. And I think the thing is that this is a Warriors team that knows its system so well. This is the first season for this Kings team, which, by the way, shout out Mike Brown was officially named Coach of the Year, like this podcast called. I think with the Kings, they need to go back to the idea of not deviating away from what they're doing when the game is getting tough. But I also think what it is that the playmaking ability, you mentioned Sabonis. Sabonis' playmaking ability, I think, is one of the things that have been neutralized. He's only had, I think, one game in this series where he has had over 5 assists per game, if I'm not mistaken. He averaged 7.3 assists per game this regular season. And I want to say in the past, he had a regular season where he averaged even like a pretty high number as well. His last full season in Indiana, he averaged 6.7 assists. Aside from Jokic, Domantas Sabonis is the next best passing big man in the NBA. There's such a wide gulf because Jokic is that next level, but Sabonis is pretty good at it. So I think the offense, the pick and roll between Fox and Sabonis and the dribble handoffs that Sabonis can do with any of the Kings' young guards and / wings is critical in terms of what of how they could get back into it. But they just need to win Game 6 and then see what happens. Because at the end of the day, the Warriors, yes, they did win on the road, which is big, but this is still the worst road team coming into these playoffs. Like it was you could say it was due to injury. You could say this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, there's no other team in these NBA playoffs that had the record on the road that the Warriors did in the regular season, which was 11-30. That was their road record this year. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Not great, Bob. And I say this as a team as a fan of a team who also had a below 500 record on the road. So I want this series to go to 7. I'm not sure if it will. We'll just see how it plays out. But I think the Kings can come back, but it needs to be they need to respond back to the Warriors like they have in this series. And can they do it one more time? We'll see.
Yep. I'm here for it. All right, last series that we will cover for the Western Conference. Los Angeles Lakers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. A very weird series. Look, this podcast predicted Lakers in 7, I think.
Yes, sir.
And to be honest, it might happen. So, Lakers won Game 1. I think the major news out of Game 1 is that Ja hurt his hand, I believe. Yep. I think he didn't break any fingers, but he sprained a few. And it was already kind of hurt because he kind of hurt in the regular season towards the end. Lakers win Game 1. Austin Reeves goes off. Game 2, the Grizzlies win. Yeah, they tied up. Yeah. I think they won by a bit, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Lakers won the next 2 matchups, next 2 games. I don't know if it was Game 3 or 4, but
they had an absurd first quarter. They had an absurd first quarter.
Okay. So Game 3, they just smoked the Grizzlies. And then they had a fake comeback towards the end with Ja scoring 22 points, but it was already kind of done. And then, of course, Game 4, it was very back and forth. It goes to overtime. LeBron turns back the clock. They win it. Shout out to the Lakers there. And then, of course, it was for Game 5, it was close for a bit, and then the Grizzlies just smoked them towards the end. So now it's 3-2. So the Lakers are up 3-1. It is now 3-2. Game 6 is tonight, which will be in the Crypt, not Staples Center.
It's still Staples to me, damn it.
Yeah. So this is weird. So it's kind of weird to say how, like, LeBron has shown his age a little bit here. just a bit, and he's still, he's still doing LeBron-like things. So that's a testament to how great he is. But you could kind of tell, and a lot of it, you could tell the foot has kind of affected him. Because there are just some times where I'm just like, damn, bro, like oof. Um, it's weird to kind of see like Father Time like creeping up on LeBron just a bit, not fully, of course, because he is LeBron. But Anthony Davis, man, I'm not gonna fault LeBron here. LeBron's doing as much as he can. Anthony Davis needs to show up, bro. There were some games so far, and he's just like at 8 points, all that. Like defensively, he's doing his thing. He's
Yeah.
doing his thing defensively. On the offensive side, I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro, a little bit more juice, my guy. Like
And
this is
early on, my bad, Chris, but early
good.
on is what we're talking about here because he finished last game with 31, but they lost by like 20. Like, you need to do your damage early on when the game is not being blown out in the Grizzlies' favor and you're just scoring baskets when it means nothing. Like, that,
Yeah,
just to clarify for the people listening to this that might only like stat sheet watch, that's what Chris is talking about. Carry on.
and it's just like this is why like he's supposed to pass the torch to AD, man. But like, and LeBron's ready. LeBron's ready because he's old, man. But like AD, just of course he can't. He should be a top 5 player in the NBA, bro. Hands down, Anthony Davis should be that. But it's like, come on, bro. Like you have performances like that I've seen, like a few of them so far. I'm like, come on, bro. Why? It's yours for the taking, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm more encouraged by Austin Reeves' play sometimes.
Rui Hachimura.
Hachimura and Reeves have been standouts and highlights for the Lakers this series. So shout out to Reeves and Hachimura. I think the Lakers should prioritize keeping those two.
Facts.
Those are like 2 young players that you should keep as like your nucleus post LeBron.
Those two and Jared Vanderbilt,
yes.
like those are role player extraordinaire.
Exactly. And then like you're the Lakers, you'll find stars eventually. D'Angelo Russell, an anomaly. I will never understand D'Angelo Russell, the player. Dude, when he first came to the NBA out of the draft, I was so high on him.
Same.
And then, of course, his first playoff series, which was against the Sixers when he was with the Nets, I was like, all right, it's your first one. You're the primary offensive option. Maybe, inexperienced. You're not ready completely. I'll give you a little pass. Then, of course, he has that playoff series with the Wolves last year where they just completely choked to the Grizzlies. He was ass. And then so far this series, he's had like moments, like stints where like he had those like 3-3-pointers at like game 4 where like he got the back in the game. But my God, for a majority of this series, bro, holy shit, bro, has he been tough to watch, in my opinion. Like he's such it's like a very low IQ. I mean, the shot making so inconsistent. And there's this immaturity about D'Angelo Russell that I think will never leave. And he's just like the lack of self-awareness sometimes. I think it was like a post-game interview where he was just like, I'm not a point guard for this team. I'm just a basketball player. I'm like, bro, what? What the fuck are you saying?
Because he knows he can't be that. He knows that's why he was traded this season because he's just not a natural point guard to fit next to certain guys. And
it's like, of course you're not going to have the ball in you're not going to have the rock in your hands. It's going to be LeBron's. You should know this, man. And like you've been in the league now for 7 years. 7. Bro, Russell's almost been there a decade.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nuts to think about. But like
I still remember him as an Ohio State freshman. That was a while ago.
Exactly, bro. That was our freshman. That was our senior year of high school. And it's crazy to me how this dude is not matured. There are times where he'll just like have a couple shots and they'll like give the Lakers a bit of momentum, but like it's not enough to justify him this series. He needs to be better, bro. And it's just like I think if they do advance, I think the inconsistencies with Russell is gonna like affect them in the semifinals and beyond if they miraculously go through the Warriors or the Kings. But yeah, man, I think they went up 3-1. They lose game 5. It's tough because I can't see LeBron losing a 3-1 lead, but I do think it is possible. Because if the Grizzlies win tonight and they force game 7, I might lean towards the Grizzlies. I think the Lakers close it out tonight, but if it goes 7, Grizzlies take it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not worried about a game 7 because I think the Lakers can and should close it out tonight. Mm-hmm. I think here's the thing with LeBron. And this is one of my sayings that I picked up from watching all like the good sports media that I pay attention to. Because if you're not good at your job, I'm not going to listen to you, Skip Bayless.
Simple.
Yeah. He may not be as good as he once was, but he could be good as once as he ever was. That's what LeBron is. LeBron in this series, even though some people want to point to the game 4 as being the case, I don't think he's gone for over 30 yet in a game, if I'm not mistaken. He just needs to do that once and the series will be done. And I think he understands, like, this is the most battle-tested dude in the entire NBA. Not just this series, in the entire NBA in terms of playoff experience. And I think LeBron understands for this team that the best thing to do would be to close out the series tonight at home. And I believe that, again, you just have to do it one time. And as long as AD can continue the impact that he's had defensively, which, I mean, he's looking like it, like he was in college when he won an NCAA championship, his one season at Kentucky, like in terms of the blocks he's getting. He had 7 blocks in game one. He's averaging over 4 for the series. I think LeBron just needs to summon up his greatness one time, and I think things will be set. But I'm with you. There are definitely concerns. I think I think the message for the Lakers is just finish it off tonight. I think the Grizzlies in Game 5, a bit of an anomaly as well, Chris, because I think like Game 5 may have been one of their better shooting, like consistent better shooting stretches. Like they started 5 for 10 from the field, from 3 in the first quarter, and there was a run in the third quarter when they pulled away where it just felt like they could not miss a shot at all. And they haven't always done that in this series. Like, it's a big thing. Like, they've played way better at home than they have on the road. And I'm not even just talking about the fact that they went 0-2 in games 3 and 4. I'm talking about the fact that just shooting, like, there's a reason that they were down in those games. Or even game 4, if I'm not mistaken, the Grizzlies held a little bit of a lead, maybe third quarter at some point, and then the Lakers came back. And, like, the Lakers were the ones that tied up. Well, LeBron specifically is the one that tied up that game time and then won the game. Because, you know, when some people think they're bigger than they are and they're more of a mosquito on the wall than an actual hornet, that's what happens. But
nice.
I think the the Lakers, I think, will finish off the series. But I'm kind of with you if it does go to Game 7. I know LeBron historically is one of the best Game 7 performers in NBA history, but I think this Lakers team, like, they need to pull it together tonight. Just give yourself the insurance policy, especially if the Warriors series could end. Like, you need to be as close to rested as possible to deal with either of your next round opponents, because it's either a young Kings team who can run up and down the floor in certain lineups, or it's a veteran Warriors team that, I mean, I'm selfish. I want to see LeBron versus Steph one more time as much as anybody. So let's see it.
Yeah, let's see Steph beat LeBron once again. Okay, so that'll do it for the Western Conference. Let's move on. Let's move on over to the Eastern Conference, where a lot of notable things have happened.
And mainly two, like 2 of these series we could kind of go by real fast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about Sixers Nets. Yeah, expected for me at least. It was 4-0. I think I had it in 5. You guys thought it was going to be competitive.
Well, no, Dame had it in 5 as well, I think. Like,
I think he had it 6.
No, that was me. I'll admit it. I had 76ers in 6. No, Dame, I think, was closer to you.
All right. I could have sworn it was 6, but whatever. Yeah. So then Sixers made quick work of it. Nets made it interesting for like one game. But of course, I think the big thing we should talk about. I mean, the series went exactly how you expected. Tyrese Maxey, I think he's him, bro. I think this is This is like a star establishing performance for him. I think he is the future of the Sixers, especially if the Sixers go down a road in which I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
Maxey is their guy going forward. Now, we will talk about what I mean by what I mean by that. We'll discuss it in a future episode. But we have kind of discussed the Sixers window not being as open as people think. Now, I mean, yeah, so great performance from Maxey. I think sometimes he's the number 2 option for them, bro. With how Harden plays sometimes, especially in the playoffs, he really picks up the slack, and man, do they desperately need him because, again, can't trust Harden that much, and also Tobias Harris. I'm not going to talk about Tobias Harris. He's fucking ass, bro. But, yeah, knee sprain for Joel Embiid, bro, which is another playoff appearance by the Sixers and another occurrence in which Embiid gets hurt. Now, it's not like it doesn't need surgery, but it is a knee sprain, which is you can't fuck around with it. I think it's an LCL sprain, I believe. I don't know if I got that right. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I think it's an LCL sprain. That's what I heard. They have been blessed because the Celtics and Hawks went a little farther.
Yep.
But man, Jurg, the timing of this, like, I just want one. Look, the playoffs are, we've talked about this, war of attrition.
Yep.
War of attrition. Last team standing. That's what dictates a lot of, like, championships here. Joel Embiid is a very unserious player, bro. And what I mean by that is that I know he's very dominant. The flailing and the flopping for someone his size.
Yeah.
It's just, bro, What are we doing here? This is because bro, when he fell on Cam Johnson,
He's cat with attitude.
yeah,
He's cat
yeah,
with attitude. Honest to God.
bro. When he fell on Cam Johnson, I don't know. Did you? I'm assuming you saw the play in which he
Yeah.
that's what kind of led to the knee sprain. I'm like, bro, a lot of these things shouldn't be happening, bro. Why are you like? We didn't even talk about this with the Lakers Grizzlies. John Moran's doing the Jeff Hardy shit, bro. Just flailing his body around, which, by the way, stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
I know he's him and he's gotten that far, like, because he's him. Cut it out, dog. Because there are some times where, like, this is not necessary, bro. You don't even why are you doing...
Well, he's hurt his hand twice now in this series. Like, because it wasn't a game 4. He kind of fell and he held his hand for a little bit. Like,
was it game 4? I know game 1 is when he, like, hurt it. But, like, why are you doing, like, a poetry in motion from the Hardy Boys?
without the second Hardy.
Exactly, bro. You don't need to jump over LeBron. I know it's the thrill seeking. He wants the highlight. For Embiid, I don't know what you're doing. It is the playoffs, bro. Stop trying to draw fouls. You're 300 pounds, bro. I'm assuming. I think maybe like 280 or something like that. But, bro, this is why, like, these injuries happen, because you're unserious. There's no player, besides maybe a few, that convinces me that they're putting Embiid to the ground. It's a majority of it is himself.
Yeah.
And now dumb shit like that happens, and look what happens now. You put your team in jeopardy. This is why you can't get out of the second round, because you get hurt, because you want to flail your body around. It's so dumb. And now he has a knee sprain. And look, he has a few time. I mean, he had some extra time because the Celtics Hawks went a little, farther than expected. But now, again, you're playing the Celtics now. We don't have to talk about the series. Do you have anything to say about Joel Embiid before we get onto the Celtics Hawks?
No, I think you've said a lot of it, and I said my summary there. He's cat with a little bit more attitude. He's cat with a little bit more charisma, and that's about it. Like, he was not dominant in the 3 games we actually saw him play against the Nets. He was not at all, and he was more like the highlight of this series of Joel Embiid was him looking like anyone facing Brock Lesnar in a WWE fight and just low blowing someone with
oh yeah.
So that's his highlight. That's it. Like, the 76ers,
and he flopped there, bro, and he flopped before he did the low blow.
Well, also, it was a dangerous play because he was holding a guy that was up in the air for an alley-oop. That could have been a flagrant 2. Like, that's an unsafe foul he's committing. And I think he got away with it, and then the referees paid the Sixers back. Like, James Harden shouldn't have been ejected, but the reason I think he got ejected was because the refs understood that they let Joel Embiid get away with it. Because at least Harden, you could argue he maybe did it by accident. Joel Embiid purposefully lifted his leg up to low blow another player. That's unacceptable. And people trying to protect guys from being suspended when they commit heinous acts, like, I don't understand the whole let's let these guys get away with this in the postseason. Like, no, play within the rules. Like, just play the game. If you do we say this all the time, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
If he hadn't gotten hurt in the game or whatever, he would have been suspended, I think, or at least should have been considered for suspension in game 4. Because that is a reckless thing to do, to try to purposefully injure a player by lifting your leg up like that. It's utterly ridiculous. Like, I don't understand the idea of fans trying to protect these guys from suspensions when they're clearly doing stupid stuff. You stomp another man's chest, you lift your leg up to purposely injure another player. No, suspension, and that's it. Like, I just want to get that out.
He's a piece of shit, bro. Embiid's a piece of shit. I know he's talented. He's a really good player, but he's a piece of shit, bro. I've never been huge on him. I know people like the antics and plays to the crowd, bro. But it's we gotta be serious, bro.
It's amazing. It's my bad, Chris. It's amazing. It's amazing how there's a certain big man that we finished talking about who gets criticized for his quote unquote lack of playoff success. That guy's been to a conference finals, and Embiid hasn't. I'm just saying.
I mean, and we'll talk about the next round, of course, because they play the Celtics. Celtics win in 6 games. Should have been 5, but they won in 6. Look, I think we all had the Celtics. I mean, we made a prediction because we thought they would play the Heat, but they ended up playing the Hawks. So the Celtics beat the Hawks in 6 games. They were kind of dominant the first 4, and then, of course, Game 5 happened. DeJounte Murray shoved the official, and he was suspended for Game 5. Hawks coincidentally ended up winning Game 5. Yeah, I mean, Game 5, there was a lot of stupid mistakes from the Celtics. There was a lot of bad fouls and stupid technicals from Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum. They just kind of let their foot off the gas for that one. And of course, Trae Young wins it at the end with that. It was basically a game winner, just not a buzzer beater, but it was a game winner with that three that was near the logo. Jerry, I gotta say this, man. I hate him,
Yeah.
but he is top three players in which I am personally afraid of when the game's on the line. Trae Young.
Yeah.
I am scared of Trae Young in the clutch. And I got to say, man, he is really clutch. I've seen some stats recently that came out about Steph Curry in the clutch. Not good. Trae Young has had some decent moments in the clutch, bro. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan, so I'll never I'm never going to support him. I'm going to hate him, but I have to give him his flowers, bro. That dude in clutch moments, he's not afraid. Like the Ice Train nickname, very appropriate.
Yeah.
But man, dude, on defense,
Bad.
Oh my god, bro, the off-ball defense is such garbage, bro. And it's a big reason why they got smoked. I mean, I know it won 6 games, but there's some times where in possessions, bro, it fucks them up. It does. And I don't know, man, his offense I think makes up for the lack of defense, but when you're playing a team against the Celtics, it's not going to work. It's going to hurt you. But they made it 6. For the Celtics, you kind of cost yourself because you wanted to get to the second round as quick as possible. And especially with the Embiid news, you want to take advantage of that. No rest days here. Get this series out of we'll get it done. And then we go to the Sixers. But of course, they wanted to play stupid games and win stupid prizes. But look, they got the job done. It was close for game 6. Towards the end, it was close. And then, of course, they kind of just went on an 8-0 run. And yeah, they won in 6 games. The Hawks, they're kind of stuck in the mud right now. We're talking about purgatory. I don't know what's going to happen with that team because they kind of traded some pieces for DeJounte Murray. Yeah. There's this thing about Trae Young. I don't know what's going to happen. They need to make moves because I don't know, man. Is this going to lead to a trade? We're already getting Trae Young trade rumors, bro.
I think had they gotten swept, that would have been more serious had they gotten swept.
Right. You're right. I think Trae Young bought them some time with 2 games won in the first round. But I don't know. We'll talk about the Hawks' future in another episode. But I don't know, man. Not looking too great for them. Not looking too great. For the Celtics, they meet the Sixers. Again, we won't talk about predictions because I think we'll wait for Dame on that one. But I'll say this. Let's keep it brief, Jurg. I like the Celtics' chances against the Sixers, which is not saying much. I don't know if you agree. Okay.
I kind of spoiled it when we talked about the first round, but I firmly have the Celtics in the conference final. So
yeah, I have a bet with Manny, $100 bet because he's an Embiid fan. He thinks the Sixers are going to win. I was like, all right.
Oh Lord, that's the easiest 100 you'll ever make.
Yeah, that's what I said. But yeah, so Sixers, Celtics semifinals. Hopefully a good series. Let's move on over to the other side of the bracket because we have things to talk about, brother. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Either one.
Let's talk about the Heat versus the Bucks. Heat went 4-1. Giannis went out with an injury in the first quarter of game 1 that kept him out until game 3?
Game 4. He didn't play game 3.
Yeah. I don't know it was a lower back injury. I don't know what the official diagnosis was, but Heat won game 1, Bucks win game 2, and then the Heat just won the next 3. Heat took care, they got the split in Milwaukee in the first 2 games, and I think I haven't been high on the Heat this year. They've been a little bit disappointing. So when the Bucks kind of won game 2, I'm like, all right, it makes sense. The Bucks they've shown they're decent without Giannis. I'm like, okay, they split it, and then game 3, which was in Miami. How did that game go? I don't remember.
Which game?
Oh, okay, no, because Victor Oladipo got hurt. I think they kind of controlled the game throughout. I don't remember necessarily, but Giannis was still out. The Heat take care of game 3, game 4, and game 5. Let's talk about this.
Yes.
A very grit and grind style by the Miami Heat. They let's be honest, they won this series because one man willed them to the playoff victory, willed them to a series victory, and it's Jimmy Butler. Game 4, which was where they went up 3-1. The Bucks, I believe, controlled most of the game.
They were up 13 at one point in the fourth quarter.
They were up 13. Yes, I remember now. And then, of course, Jimmy Butler happened. And he has been the best player in the playoffs so far. Oh my God, you talk about a winner. I know he hasn't won a ring yet, but I think he is one of the ultimate winners, man, in the NBA. And it was 56 points performance.
Yep, 56 in game 4.
Just legendary moments right there. My God. In my opinion, it was again, it's recency bias, but I'll say it's a top 7 playoff performance. All things like not considered right now because I'm kind of blurring out in terms of like playoff performances. But
Yeah.
personally, what I saw, top 7, top 7. My God, especially because of the stakes and like he willed them back. Like he won the game,
Yeah.
bro. It was beautiful to watch. Playoff Jimmy's an actual thing, even though he doesn't want to say it. He was phenomenal for them, bro. I can't say much about it. But that run they went on to win that game was crazy. They had the Bucks frozen, bro.
Yep. Heat
And then
defense. If there's one thing that it doesn't matter how poorly offensively a Heat team is, if there's one thing any Heat team throughout history can do, it's play defense
yeah.
in like for a 4 or 5 minute stretch and just lock you down.
And we're gonna talk about Coach Bud, but
Oh, you mean the future Guangdong Tigers head coach?
I mean, the
He should
Golden
be
Sharks.
fired. I'm gonna say this right now. He should be fired.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Game 5. So Game 5, which was the closeout game, the Heat were down 16 in the fourth quarter. My dad goes to sleep. He's like, "All right, this game's over," and I'm just like, "Dude." The thing is, because I was like, if even when the Heat went up 3-1, I was a little concerned because I did want the Heat to win the series. When they were up 3-1, I'm just like, okay, well, Giannis is back. And so Giannis did come back for Game 4 and Game 5.
Yep.
They won 3-1, and I'm like, I'm still concerned because the Bucks are capable of making this comeback, and the Heat are a little thin right now. Tyler Hero's out. Forgot about that. He broke some of his fingers, so he's out. Probably for the rest of the playoffs, unless they make the finals. Which
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. He can't return. Earliest possible time he could return is like the NBA finals. So
yeah, but that could happen, by the way. And then Oladipo gets hurt. Feel bad for Oladipo, man. That sucks, bro. He's not the same, but he was like he kind of got his legs under him, and then that happens, and I feel so bad for him. Game 5 happens. They're down 16, and the ending to Game 5 was like some of the most wild, chaotic shit I've seen in an NBA game. And I have no idea what the Bucks are doing, bro. They had 2 timeouts? This is before overtime. So the game went into overtime. Jimmy Butler does Jimmy Butler things. There were a couple possessions where like they were down 2 and then 4. This is towards the end. And then Jimmy's like shooting these threes. And I'm like, Jimmy wants to finish his game quick because I think he's gassed. Right? Those are the type of possessions I was looking at, but he was going off. And then of course, like they're going on a run and like just Bud's not like the situational. I don't know, man. Situationally, Coach Bud just does not know what he's doing, bro. Like, what do we do? Like the lack of awareness. He has been such an overrated coach.
Yep.
It's just they could have called timeout. They didn't.
Several times in the series.
Several times.
Like,
go ahead.
No, so Game 4, you're up 13. The Heat are making a run. How is it halfway through that run you don't call defense? And the earliest possible time they were ready to call a timeout was just before the Heat got a steal in the half court for that Jimmy dunk to take a 1-point lead. And then they finally called a timeout. Game 5, like you get the rebound after Gabe Vincent missed 3 in OT. There's seconds left on the clock. It's going. Even if you didn't want to call it immediately, the second Giannis passed it to Chris Middleton, once he got down the floor, should have called a timeout. Because at the end of the day, the ball gets in the hands of Grayson goddamn Allen.
Wait, that's Game 5. Oh, yeah.
No, my bad. Game 5. Like,
but all right, but that was the last position. Before we get into that,
yeah,
Jimmy. So the Heat. I think this was towards the end of regulation. I think Drew Holiday. No. So they had a jump ball where Lowry gets a clutch steal. And then, of course, the whole challenge thing was a little bit confusing to me because they called a foul, but it wasn't really a foul. But they're just like, all right, but he didn't have full possession, so this is a jump ball. And then, of course, I believe the Bucks win. The Bucks are up 1. They win jump ball. Giannis has the ball, and right away he throws it right to Middleton because he did not want to go to the free throw line because he was 10 for 23. Good Lord, did he get rid of that quick. And then Middleton, shout out to him. That was a clutch save. When he got it. Of course, Drew Holiday takes the free throws. Holiday goes 1 for 2. And then, of course, he take a timeout. An absurd pass and shot to Jimmy Butler to tie the game up. I can't believe he made that, bro. I can't believe he got it off. And it's just like, of course it is. Of course that happened. And of course Jimmy made it because Jimmy is so fucking good.
Because he's him.
He's him. He's Jimmy Butler. He's been that guy, though. He's been that guy. And
for sure.
They go to overtime. Heat are kind of in the driver's seat. They kind of take like a 5-point lead. The Bucks half-court offense, bro. It's one of the flaws with Giannis, man. It's very hard with that type of player to like kind of establish a decent half-court flowing offense. But yeah, man. And then of course, I think it was like a 2-point game. I believe it was a 2-point game. And then of course, Bucks have final possession to try to tie it up because I think Strus got hit by 3 at the 3-point line. So they're up 2. Last possession, Heat playing defense. Grayson Allen goes for like a Euro step, doesn't even get a shot off. And then, of course, the Heat win, and they win the series. And I know we just kind of went back and forth. We're not clear with like what happened. But what we can't take away from this series is that Coach Bud is an awful coach. Coach Bud is a bad coach.
Yep.
He is an overrated coach. I'm not going to blame Giannis for this. I know like he was 10 for 23 from the line, but he had 38 and 20, bro, in game 5. The situational awareness was so awful. It was such garbage. And Coach Bud, I think, deserves to get fired, man.
Yes.
He deserves to get fired. And I'll be honest, bro. This Bucks team has a lot of flaws. And I think the Heat have always been their kryptonite because they just know how to guard Giannis. I think that it was like not the bubble, but the season after the COVID season. Like the Heat were ravaged by like a lot of injuries and a lot of that stuff.
Well, also, that's where they made the right decision defensively. They had Giannis stick to Jimmy like glue in that series, and that's the worst playoffs Jimmy's had since he became a Heat player.
Yeah,
and that's when the Bucks won.
Bro, and I don't understand. Giannis said in the postgame himself, why was there not, and like, I wish we could have, thrown more double teams at Jimmy Butler and all that. And he didn't fall. And so I like what he said because Drew Holiday, one of the best defenders in the NBA, the fatigue factor catches up because Drew has to do a lot of the defending, the playmaking. He has to do so much stuff that at that point he was too fatigued to guard Jimmy Butler, who was on one. And this Bucks team has a lot of flaws on their roster. Like Giannis masks a lot of them, a lot of the flaws, but like there is a lot of flaws and they have decisions to make because people need to get paid. People are aging.
Giannis is one of the guys in like another year or two. He's owed a new contract.
And I'm gonna be looking at them. And Coach Bud needs to get fired. They need a new coach. And then Giannis is like, out of respect, I kind of just did what the coach said. Bro, you need to like, I kind of take shots at people who are like coach killers and divas. Bro, he's one of the most humble dudes in the NBA. You're arguably the best player in the world. Yes. You need to put your foot down here.
Absolutely.
And this was also apparent when they played the Nets in 2021, where he was not guarding Kevin Durant. And I understand PG Tucker's a better defender and he was a better option to guard KD. But there were some times where I'm like, Giannis, come on, bro. You could just take that challenge, bro. Fuck what Bud is saying. Just be like, I got him. And it was apparent here. I'm like, dude, you need to put your foot down, bro. And it's cost him. His humbleness, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
What are we doing, bro? Because now you're bounced. It's 4-1. You lost to the 8th seed. The Heat had to win 2 games to get to this position. You lost to them. I know Giannis wasn't playing the first 3 games, but he was playing the last 2 games. And like even when they went up 3-1, bro, you still had a chance. This series was not over, and now you're gone. And I said this before, bro. I didn't say it on the mic, but Giannis needs at least 3 chips before he retires.
Yeah.
You are 28 years old now.
The last 2 years are missed opportunities. Time
in terms of his peak, because a lot of it, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but like I was talking to my pops about this. My dad thinks his window isn't as open for his like peak as a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of his game is, predicated on athleticism and all that. I don't want to say time's running out because I don't think it is running out. And he's still, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because he is, the best player in the world. But we need to start winning, bro. You are in Aaron Rodgers territory at the very, like, we are facing that path.
But way more likable.
Yeah, way more likable. But it's 2 missed opportunities here, man. And I know Middleton got hurt last season, so we want to like put the blame on him. But again, he didn't show up game 7. I'll say that against the Celtics last year in that closeout game. He didn't show up, and it's disappointing, bro. And the Bucks need to do some things, bro. And did you watch the post game interview?
Yes, I did. Like, Giannis, I love you, but this is a failure.
It's a failure. It's 100%. And I can't. I'll say this: there's different ways to cope with failure, and I think he's trying to cope with that, and he got frustrated. I like his perspective on life. It's a failure, brother. You were arguably the best player in the world. Your team was favorited. You played the 8th seed. You got out alphaed by Jimmy Butler. I know you were hurt, but that's just, Jimmy Butler, they won 2 games to get to this point, bro. They had to win 2 games. It's a failure. There's different standards for different teams, bro. This is one of them. Like, bro, you're a championship team, and you lost to the A seed. Now you're going home in the first round. It's a failure. It's a failure.
I know championships tend to hide a lot in sports, but since Giannis's first MVP, the Bucks have only made it to the conference finals twice.
Mm.
When they lost to the Raptors his first MVP season, and when they won the finals, because his second MVP, remember that was the COVID bubble, so they lost to the Heat in the second round. It was so the championship, and then the year after the championship, second round, Game 7 lost to Boston. Again, that's the one I could kind of forgive because of the fact that Chris Middleton was out, and then this year, the fact that this team has not been a perennial conference finals team since Giannis's first MVP, which is also when LeBron left the East. Like Giannis was supposed to take over the East, and he hasn't done that. The Celtics and the Heat have made a similar, if not more, amount of conference finals in that span of time. That's unacceptable. It's honestly unacceptable. Like, championships hide a lot. You can't hide this. And I just my last point, Chris, before we move on here, because we got another sport to talk about. I've never gone to this site, so I wouldn't trust this site, but jobble.org, urgent team coach jobs in China, April 2023. So Mike Budenholzer, there are opportunities out there for you, bro. Because that's my final thing. At the end of the day, Mike Budenholzer should be fired. And if the Bucks hadn't won that championship 2 years ago, I think he already would have been fired right now, because you go from losing that final series to losing Game 7 the way it did last year to losing to the 8th seed. Like, come on now. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a part of it is because, like, I don't think Giannis will step up and be like, yeah, we need a new coach. He's not going to do that. He's not that type of person. But, like, then they need to be upfront as an organization and be like, all right, something needs to change right now. Something needs to change. And you're right, bro. That Eastern Conference was wide open when LeBron left. Kevin Durant's not there anymore either. Come on, Giannis. Like, it's a failure, bro. I'm sorry. It was a failure. All right, let's move on over to the other matchup. Knicks, Cavs. Knicks 1-5. So here's the thing. I think we all picked the Cavs.
Yep.
I think I had Cavs in 6. I think Dame also had Cavs in 6. I don't know if you had Cavs in 5 or 6. I think you had them in 6, but you wouldn't have been surprised if it was a gentleman's sweep for the Cavs. We were all wrong.
Yeah.
And I think me and Dave kind of do this thing where it's just like our expectations. We'll never pick the Knicks to win it outright, just for PTSD purposes. So the Knicks win 5. And man, oh man. I told the viewers, you better not let the Knicks win this series, because if they do, I'm going to be insufferable. And god damn it, I've been insufferable on Twitter. Oh, I am so proud of them. I am so fucking proud of them. I can't believe it. We won game 1. I'm like, okay, all right, there's something here. Then they get blitzed in game 2. And I'm like, oh, this is going to hurt a little bit. In my mind, I still have the Cavs winning. Next tour in the Garden, I'm like, we need to win game 3. That's a very important game. We win game 3. Jurg, I'll say this. Game 3, which was the first game of the Garden, Cavs were shook. Lights were bright as fuck. Lights were bright as fuck, and you saw how it affected the players. Darius Garland shot the date. He shot the date of that game. 4 for 21. One of the worst playoff performances I've ever seen.
And then Donovan Mitchell matched that up in game 4 with one of the worst playoff performances I've ever seen.
And then game 4, Knicks win in the Garden, a matinee. It was a little closer than expected, but then of course, they win. And then game 5, they closed out. And game 5 was the best team performance I've seen from the Knicks in a long time, because they dominated, from the start to the finish. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Knicks first.
Yep.
Jalen Brunson is, he's outplayed that contract.
He was the best player in that series. Easily.
Easily. He's outperformed expectations. He's our guy. He's the best. He's the best free agent signing we've had. I don't even know if ever, maybe ever. I don't know.
Probably.
But my God, shout out to him, man. I had my I was skeptical because I'm like, oh, maybe Luka made him a lot better than he actually is. Not the case. He is awesome. I love that he's my point guard now, and he's so smart. Josh Hart, another trade on which I was skeptical about, because I'm like, we traded a first for him. Why? And now I'm just gonna shut the fuck up, because he makes plays that kill the other team's momentum, bro. He is such a winner, and this is his first playoff appearance, bro. And
Which
he
is
goes to the
wild.
second round, and he has been such a big factor for the Knicks' success, bro. He changes the momentum of the game.
Yep.
His rebounding is so beneficial for us. My God, he's one of the best rebounding, I think, forwards. I mean, small forwards. I think he's an elite.
Guard slash forward, because he's
Yeah,
6'4". Like he's
yeah.
6'4", 6'5". He's not like overwhelmingly tall.
He is a phenomenal rebounder, man, and like his playmaking too, bro. Like he gets everyone involved. His energy just kind of shifts the momentum for us, especially when we need it. Emmanuel quickly, disappointing series until Game 5. Man, I thought this would be kind of a coming out party, but oof, he didn't have the best shooting performance at all, and like there's a lot of turnovers, and I think the Cavs defense was a little bit more locked in the first 2 games, and they neutralized him. And the shot making wasn't there. RJ Barrett, first 2 games, Jurg, it was hurting my heart because he was not good. I'll say game 1 he was good defensively, and like he had like 6 assists too, and I'm like, all right, but the shooting was bad. Game 2, bad as well, and I'm like, no. And I knew it was going to be a bad series. I thought it was going to be a bad series for RJ because I'm like, okay, you have Mobley and you have Allen, and his bread and butter is driving in, paint scoring. I was like, damn, this is going to be a tough one. In the first 2 games, I'm like, yep, I predicted this. The rest of the series, my hat has been tipped. I was so fucking proud, and dude, I was so happy. I'm like, yes, the hill that I've died on, it's working out now. And he outplayed Donovan Mitchell in those next 3 games. I will say he was so important. He was the second. I think it was him and Brunson that carried the load for the Knicks in the next 3 games, the closeout games. My God, I was so proud of RJ, bro. He was looking like the 3rd overall pick, and second round appearance, man. This is what happens. Organic growth when you stick to your players. And then the last thing I'll talk about is Julius Randle. Disappointing series.
You guys played better without him.
We kind of did. He had a good first half in game 1, and then after that, it was just very Julius Randle, like just stopping the offense. My God, game 3, bro. I wanted to kill myself because the shot wasn't going in, bro, but he wasn't even contesting. The body language was awful, and I'm like, here we go. 2021 Julius is back, and I just like he pisses me off, bro. He infuriates the fuck out of me sometimes, and it ruins it, bro. It ruins it. I think it was game 4 where this happened, but like it was just his energy just kind of holds us back sometimes, and he gets so much like I don't know, man. His mental kind of overshadows everything else, bro. Like he just gets into his head so much, and it was tough to watch. Thank God, Tibbs. I was very proud of Tibbs for making that adjustment with Julius Randle. Like he benched him in the 4th quarter because he was just playing awfully, bro. And I'm like, thank God. And then game 5, he gets hurt. He re-aggravates his ankle. He started off slow. He picked it up, and then he gets hurt. Against the Heat, is Julius Randle more needed than he would be against the Cavs? I think so. I think it's a better way to put it. I think the Knicks might need Julius Randle a little bit more. It's going to be a physical ass matchup. It's going to be a physical ass series. And Julius, for as like soft headed as he is, bro, like he does bring a level of physicality that the Knicks need against a team like the Heat. So I don't know. I'm a little indifferent. I think he misses the first game. I think he misses the first 2 games actually, because there's a big gap for the Knicks Heat series between game 2 and game 3. So I think he'll take some time. Apparently the injury wasn't as severe as they thought. But yeah, I'm so proud of the Knicks, man. I'm so proud of them. They eviscerated the Cavs after game 2. The lights were bright for the Cavs. The defense, they completely shut them down. And they took Donovan Mitchell out of the equation. Darius Garland, limited. And it's just like Evan Mobley. Like, here's the thing. Let's talk about the Cavs, bro. I was very disappointed because I had high expectations for them going into this season. And I guess they need more time, man. Like, they're not ready. Jared Allen's not ready. Evan Mobley's not ready. The only person that's ready is Donovan Mitchell. But even he wasn't that great this series, bro.
I was going to say, Chris, the thing the Cavs need is someone else to be the number 1 player on that team, because this series officially confirmed for me what I thought before. And Donovan Mitchell can never be the number 1 on a championship winning team.
Agreed.
Can never do it. Can never do
Agreed.
it. I thought maybe there was a very slight chance, because since Chris, like, me and Chris didn't really communicate a lot, like in our college years. My take during Donovan Mitchell's like first couple of years in Utah, Chris, was yes, he'll get you 30 points, but it'll take him 30 shots to do it.
Yeah.
And you saw that again in this year, and I thought he overcame that, and he was starting to overcome that slowly in Utah. He was starting to be a bit more efficient, and this season in Cleveland, this was I don't have the numbers in front of me. He wasn't exactly the most efficient in the series in this season. I'm not saying he was like hyper, but he was better. But this series, okay, game 1, 38 points, so and so.
Did his thing.
11 shots in game 2, but again, forgiven because you got the win. Last 3 games of the series, 22 points on 19 field goal attempts in game 3, 11 points on 18 attempts in game 4, and then closed out game season on the line at 28 points on 26 field goal attempts. He ends up shooting just barely over 43% from the field in the series. That tells me all I need to know. Donovan Mitchell, to me, was the most underperforming player in the series on the Cleveland Cavaliers side. And I know I think Jared Allen even already said it. I don't know if it was a post-game press conference or something like since the series has ended where he was like, yeah, I'll admit like the playoffs got to him. I know Evan Mobley didn't perform, and I know Darius Garland had the bad game 3, but he was way better in game 4 and game 5. Donovan Mitchell, to me, has proven he cannot be the guy on a championship-winning team, and some people are saying he was the best performing player in the series. For the Cavs side, I do not care because he is the leader of that team, and he underperformed mightily. That is unacceptable for my franchise player to shoot barely over 43% from the field. That is barely acceptable for several games in this series that my franchise player's field goal attempts were on the same level as his points. That is utterly, utterly unacceptable. You were supposed to be the best player coming into this series, and you were completely outplayed. And this is not a slight against Jalen Brunson. That is the level that Donovan Mitchell and people that defend him so much, you need to perform in the playoffs. And aside from back-to-back years in Utah where, it's all Rudy Gobert's fault, all this, all that. Hey, burden shared equally, Chief. You want to be the guy? This is what happens. This just shows to me he can't be the guy. And Cleveland, I had high expectations for them. Obviously, I picked them to win the series. If they don't do something drastic in the offseason, this team isn't going to accomplish anything in the East next year. They're just not.
What can they do though, Jurg? They kind of gave up their assets. Like realistically speaking,
you need to hope that Darius Garland can somehow take one more step. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
because they got outworked in this series. Mitchell Robinson ate both Evan Mobley
thank you for bringing
Jared
that up.
Allen alive. He freaking ate them alive in this series. And that was utterly, utterly unacceptable. Evan Mobley, I don't understand why these bigs want to go on the Chet Holmgren diet. My brother in Christ, you got to gain more weight than that. Like, it's not good. And Jared Allen, again, I can sort of forgive it. Chris, we kind of questioned the whole Evan Mobley and Jared Allen front court when they first drafted him. I know it's been decent enough, but honest to God, if I can trade Evan Mobley to improve this team, I would. Because
okay. So that's what
you need to do something to this team. There is absolutely zero wing scoring presence on this squad, and they got to do something about it.
I forgot about Mitchell Robinson. And as a Knicks fan, I feel fucking disgusting right now because, my God, was he awesome this series. He won us the series, bro.
I was going to say, I think he was the second best player behind Brunson in the series.
You can make that argument. Game 5, he was amazing. Best center performance I've seen in my short time on Earth because I didn't see, I started watching ball in 2006. He was so fucking good, bro. I love Mitchell Robinson, bro. He ate them alive. I'm so happy for him, bro. The Mobley thing is interesting, bro, because they can't get better. They cannot make improvements without giving up Garland or Mobley.
Not Karis LeVert and Evan Mobley in a deal can get you a wing player.
You give up Mobley?
He's the most valuable asset on that team if you don't want to get rid of Garland. To me, you saw what happened. Unless Donovan Mitchell's ego is so big that he needs to have the ball more. Because I don't know if I know you're watching the games, Chris. Did you notice whenever he had to pass the ball to Garland, he just took himself out the play so much? That's why I'm so critical.
Ball, he sucks, bro.
You gotta improve off the ball. The superstars, because this is one thing I don't like in sports now. We love calling. We throw around the word star. We throw around the word superstar. Donovan Mitchell is not a superstar because the superstars in this league know how to play off the ball. The superstars in this league are threats when they do not need to be the primary ball handler. That's what a superstar is. He's not that. Definitively, he's not that. And if you're not going to have a player better than him or that can at least do that part better than him, just Cleveland, give up. Like, you're never going to win a championship. No, you're never going to win a championship if he's your best player. Like
championship? You might not even go to the second round.
It may not go to the second. Like, it's awful. It's utterly, utterly pathetic. It's utterly, utterly insane, and it's awful. And the Cavs, look, I know, I understand the idea of they can only do so much. God damn it, we traded Hassan Whiteside to get Jimmy Butler. I know it wasn't a one-on-one team deal, it was a 4-team deal, but we were able to turn Hassan Whiteside to Jimmy Butler. I don't want to hear an excuse. you can do something with your roster. So some teams got to figure it out. Some teams got to fire coaches. Some teams got to trade guys who don't show up in the playoffs. This team needs to do something to its roster construction because the Cavs, this series exposed them in the East as frauds, straight up.
Mobley and LeVert for Jaylen Brown. You doing it?
Oh my God, that's. I think I would be shocked if the Celtics only took that for Jaylen Brown.
Really?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown is highly coveted. I think a lot of people are going to be going for Jaylen Brown this offseason.
Oh, they are. They are. That's going to be also another story to look out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Knicks won. Yeah, man.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
The league needs it. I'm not even saying that as a Knicks fan. Bro, the Garden crowd, man. Nothing like it, bro. Nothing like it, bro. That, like, I'm telling you, the Garden can win you a game in the playoffs, man. But now they got to see Jimmy Butler.
We have been waiting since this podcast started for a Heat Knicks playoff series.
Yeah.
We were hoping for it.
And to be honest, I'm happy. Both teams pulled off the upset. League needs this type of series. I'm glad we're not getting. We beat the Cavs, Bucks allegations. Fuck Wisconsin. Fuck Ohio. Give me New York, Miami, bro.
Yes.
Fuck that. Screw that, man. Like and to be honest, I think it's gonna be a good series. I'm not gonna give you our winners, but I think it's gonna be a good series.
I think the series goes minimum 6.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't think either team is like neither the Knicks nor the Heat are at that level where they'll lose this series in 5. Like I think minimum. Whoever wins the series, I think most people could deduce on this podcast who we're all going to pick. But I think this series goes minimum 6 games because of how both sides are. And if you guys just had a better coach than Tom Thibodeau, I would probably even consider picking you over my team. But that's sadly not the case. But
I will say though, Thibodeau made some decent adjustments. I've seen some growth from him this first playoff round. Again, like it's a what have you done for me lately kind of society that we live in. But like, I will say I was proud of him this series. He made some adjustments. Again, I'm still
wild.
But again, like it's just you're going to get Spoelstra. They have the Miami have the coaching advantage. But I'm happy we're going to see a Knicks Heat. I think because like when it was the Knicks Heat during the LeBron years, like the Heat overwhelmed them. But I think both fan bases and with the increase in social media.
Well, it was only one playoff series that we had. It wasn't even the year that the Knicks. Because remember the season where LeBron. The near unanimous MVP season he had, you guys were the 2nd seed, and it was supposed to be. Everyone was saying it was going to be.
Oh, right, the conference finals. Oh, I'm talking about the first round. Remember when like
no. I know that, but what I'm saying is that the next season it was supposed to be a rematch.
Yeah,
because you guys were the 2nd seed. Like, yes, that first round was something, but we knew Miami was going to win. We haven't had a Heat Knicks playoff series where you didn't know who was going to win. Since the 90s, where we weren't alive for that. Like, this is going to be the most competitive Heat Knicks playoff series that this podcast has seen in their lifetime.
Yeah. Friendships may be damaged for this series, but who knows? I'm excited for it. I know you are. I know the NBA is. It's just good for sports. It's just good for basketball right now.
Indeed.
Knicks Miami, baby. Shout out to the NBA playoffs. What a first round. Very eventful first round. God, so entertaining, man. Shout out to the NBA. We need it.